Thank you for the introduction. And dear friends, welcome to the fifth annual and the first virtual Marrow on the Move. Today, we celebrate the patients and caregivers of the University of Minnesota Blood and Marrow and Cellular Therapy Program. We also celebrate the loved ones who have bravely fought their cancers and are no longer with us. And for those of you that have lost someone and are joining us today, in this virtual event, we appreciate your support and presence. While COVID-19 disrupted our lives and pushed us into the virtual space, it also created an opportunity for those patients that are early after transplant, some people that may still be in the hospital, and those that live very far away to be able to join us without much effort. Like every Marrow on the Move, this virtual event was a grassroots effort with the help of colleagues, friends, and a lot of Google searches and trying to play around with the software to figure out how it works. But we had to do it. We could not let this pesky virus keep us away from our friends and celebrate another year with our BMT and cellular therapy community. Welcome to the 2020 Marrow on the Move.
Thank you, Claudio. And thank you everyone for being here. And please bear with us if there are any glitches. We're going to do our best. We are a medical team, not IT experts, but we're learning and trying. So thank you. Today is another first in our history. This is the first virtual Marrow on the Move ever. COVID has changed how we celebrate our community and how we practice medicine. After a brief period of adjustment, we are now working as usual, except we are working in enhanced ways now through telemedicine. We have now visited some of you in your homes during video visits. This has actually been exciting for us because we've gotten to see more of your families and often even get to meet your pets while helping to keep you safe. We sincerely hope that we can be together at Lake Nokomis again next year. However, in the year 2020, we love to engage with our community through comments, suggestions, and your likes on our Facebook and other social media sites. So please follow us so that we can keep you updated. We may hold additional Marrow on the Move social and educational events throughout this coming year.
So as Shannon mentioned in her brief introduction, one of the virtual innovations is that we will have some audience interaction questions so we can learn a little bit more about those who are participating in this event. So how does it work? Well, we will put a question on the screen and you will be able, we hope, to use your mouse, or if you're using a touchpad screen, to use your finger and pick the right answer that best applies to you, your family and friends that are watching the event with you. We will then give a few moments to get an answer, and then we'll share the results immediately and in real time. So why don't we get started with the first questions just to practice. So the questions are, who's out there? Are you a patient, a caregiver, a family member, a friend, or a healthcare provider? And very importantly, how many people are watching the event with you? So it gives us a sense of the participation this year. So let's give it a few moments and start answering if you are able to. Mighty Marrow is running the show, and maybe we've had enough time.
Yes, we're at 86% of the votes are in, so I'm just going to give it a couple more seconds.
Thank you. All right, and here we go. 42% of our participants are patients, 11% are caregivers, 16% are family, 16% friends, and 16% healthcare providers. And we have 53% of people watching them on their own device, two people in another group, in groups of two, 32%, and thereafter 5% for groups of 3, 5, and more than 5. All right. Shannon, back to you.
Awesome, thank you. Very good, guys, good job. So as you know, our Marrow on the Move mission is primarily to celebrate our BMT and our cell therapy family. We also feel like it's very important to promote health and social connectedness. One of the challenges that all of our patients and families face is isolation during the time of transplant and cell therapy because of the low immune system and concern of exposures and infections. And look at what's happened to the world right now. You know, everyone now understands the isolation that can happen after a transplant because of COVID. So I think there's a greater appreciation for how much it means to stay connected to each other in this difficult time. Finally, our mission is to raise funding for BMT and cell therapy research. Our faculty have great ideas to help build a better tomorrow. And so a big part of this also is spreading the word about the research that's going on at the University of Minnesota and raising funding to continue that research. And so along those lines, I just wanted to point out briefly that our field has grown significantly in the past several years. Each year, 18,000 people in the US approximately are diagnosed with life-threatening illnesses where a marrow or blood cell transplant from a related or unrelated donor is their best treatment option. These patients have leukemia, lymphoma, or other life-threatening diseases that can be treated by a bone marrow or umbilical cord blood transplant. Our BMT and cell therapy program continues to bring patients the most advanced care possible in the form of newly approved and experimental therapeutics. This year, we plan into venturing into new areas of BMT and cell therapy for the treatment of non-cancerous conditions such as multiple sclerosis and sickle cell anemia. Today, at the 5th annual Marrow on the Move, we celebrate our patients who have received blood or marrow transplantation, but we also celebrate our patients who are receiving cellular therapies. These patients and their families are writing the history books for these new therapies as we speak.
Thank you, Shernan. And in the next few slides, we'll introduce the BMT Legends Award. And the first recipient of this award is Dr. Philip Barton McGlave.
Dr. McGlave founded the adult BMT program at the University of Minnesota, one of the first of its kinds in the world, and directed it for nearly 20 years. Dr. McGlave's pioneering research contributed to the development of unrelated donor transplantation, which extended this potentially life-saving treatment to thousands of patients who otherwise wouldn't have had an eligible donor.
Hi everyone. So this is the 5th year of our annual event for the bone marrow and cellular therapy program for the patients and the families. And this year, Mighty Marrow, our fearless leader, came up with a new idea. He thought that we should honor people that made important contributions to the program, to its development and what it is today, providing great care to all of you. So now I'd like to introduce the recipient of the 2020 BMT Legend Marrow on the Move Award, Dr. Philip McGlave.
Thank you, Claudio. As Claudio mentioned, I've been doing bone marrow transplant at the University of Minnesota for a long time, believe it or not, 40 years. And I've watched the program grow from just 3 beds in the Mayo Hospital to a large state-of-the-art unit in Building J. I've also watched the development of out of this world, an outpatient clinic that provides, through its care team, care 24 hours a day, outpatient care, and it's comprehensive care. And I've also watched the development of our fantastic healthcare group, which includes not only nurses and nutritionists and physicians and rehab people, but just about every subspecialty you can imagine. And of course, this has all been happening with the cooperation and the partnership of patients and donors and families and caregivers. At the same time, I've watched us develop new therapies. We've gone from related donor transplant to unrelated donor transplant using adult volunteers or using adult or umbilical cord blood, autologous transplant, and now really, really exciting stuff with natural killer cell, NK cell therapy, and with CAR T cells, and with even other forms of therapy. And one of the best things about the program here at the University of Minnesota is that many of these concepts for new therapy have been developed and tested right here at the University of Minnesota. And they've been developed by scientists and by physician scientists, people like Shernan Holton and Claudio Brunstein and others who will go from their labs or from their data analyses right to the wards to help take care of patients. So I'm very, very proud of this Legend Award, but I'm even more proud of our bone marrow transplant team, which is truly world class. Thank you very much.
So now we're going to have Mighty Marrow hand over the award to Dr. McGlave. Let's do this correctly. Yep. Okay. Thank you, and thank you, and thanks to all of you.
So that was so amazing. Thank you to Dr. McGlave for really starting our program. And what an amazing journey this has been for him over 40 years. And we're so lucky to have him and to have been able to learn from him for so long. He's still a part of us. And thank you so much, Dr. McGlave. Congratulations on your BMT Legend Award.
Okay, now we're gonna go to our second set of questions. And Mighty Marrow, can you put up the questions? So question number 3 is, like we do in the park every year, is if you're a transplant recipient, and there's quite a few of them on the web right now, how far are you from your transplant? Are you within the first year of transplant, 1 to 5 years, 5 to 10 years, or more than 10 years from your transplant? So now let's give it a few moments for everybody to answer this. And we'll see how we come along. This year we could have asked who's in the hospital, but we didn't think of it. So we'll fix that for next year. How are we doing, Mighty Marrow? Are people answering? Oh, there we go. Look at that. We have 44% of people that are between 1 and 5 years. 11% that are between 5 and 10 years, and we have 44% that are greater than 10 years from therapy. And isn't that fantastic? Lots of long-term
awesome.
follow-up and survivors. This is just fantastic. So I think we're ready for our next question. And the next question is, how many of you in the audience were a bone marrow or a blood stem cell donor, and who of you are registered in the National Registry for Bone Marrow Donors? Let's see how many people have been a donor. And we realize not every family member had the chance to do it, but have you given bone marrow in the OR? Or have you given stem cells, collecting from your blood in the apheresis center? So let's give it a few moments. And Mighty Marrow, perhaps we could take a look and see if we got any donors joining us today. Look at that. 20% of the people that answer in the audience were bone marrow donors, which is very brave. It's done under general anesthesia, and people do feel like they fell on ice, slipped on ice and fell the day before. And we have 80% of people that are registered and are volunteer donors if they are ever called. Thank you very much for your generosity and courage in being a donor. Shannon, back to you.
Thank you. Gosh, that is awesome. Okay, next we're going to segue to the Marrow on the Move research grants. We'll have the opportunity to hear from the experts at the University of Minnesota who are helping to create the future of BMT and cell therapy with your support.
And the first person we're highlighting, the first researcher we're highlighting is Dr. Fiona Hay. She's an assistant professor of medicine at the University of Minnesota and a faculty of the bone marrow, blood and marrow and cellular therapy program.
Hello, my name is Dr. Fiona He. I'm one of the BMT physicians. My project, funded by Marrow on the Move, is about accelerated aging after bone marrow transplant. Currently, there are over 500,000 BMT survivors worldwide, but they can suffer from residual side effects of their treatment. BMT survivors are more likely than the general population to have age-related diseases like diabetes, heart disease, and secondary cancers. We currently have an ongoing study led by Dr. Mukta Arora that looks at the long-term health of BMT survivors treated here at the University of Minnesota. My study looks at blood samples of these patients to detect aged cells, otherwise known as senescent cells. Senescent cells increase as we naturally age, but they're found more frequently in people who have had chemotherapy or radiation. In mice, clearing out these senescent cells can improve physical function, reduce frailty, and improve lifespan. The goal of my study is to look at the association of senescent cells in BMT patients with quality of life and age-related diseases. The potential impact of this study is to develop new strategies to improve long-term health of BMT survivors. I'd like to thank you very much for your support for this study, and especially thank BMT survivors for participating in this study. Thank you very much.
So very exciting research from Dr. He. Next up is Dr. Marrow. He is our local multiple myeloma expert, and he is studying immune reconstitution after autologous transplant for multiple myeloma.
My research is focused on how to improve patient outcomes or how to improve the remission period following a bone marrow transplant in multiple myeloma. I am approaching it from one angle called the immune profile angle. Basically, my theory is that when we reconstitute the bone marrow in a person with multiple myeloma, the immune cells are coming back. Can we now teach or enhance these immune cells to fight the myeloma better so that we can give them a long-lasting remission? And this is my goal of research, and this is what I proposed in the Marrow on the Move grant. So the tools which I require to do this project is available at the University of Minnesota. I'm extremely thankful for patients who participated in prior clinical trials and have given blood samples for us to use in order to figure out when these immune cells after a transplant are coming back into the blood and what medications we can actually give to enhance them even further, so that if a person is getting a remission of approximately 1.5 to 2 years, can we change it to 5 years? Can we change it to 10 years? And that is our goal of this particular research, which Marrow on the Move is funding me. I hope to complete this research in the next 1 year to 1.5 years and have some results so that we can have some preliminary idea of what cells are coming back at what different points of time and how to enhance our responses in multiple myeloma after a transplant. I thank every single donor for donating for this type of research, which helps me answer this question. I know it's a corona world, but stay safe and thanks once again, and we will continue the research. Peace out. Thank you.
Our next awardee is Dr. Joseph Macaron, who is an assistant professor of medicine here at the Blood and Marrow and Cellular Therapy program as well. He joined us just over a year ago, and he's very interested in minimizing the toxicity in the therapy with CAR T cells.
Hi, my name is Joe Macaron, and I'm one of the bone marrow transplant doctors at the University of Minnesota. Last year, I was one of the recipients of the Marrow on the Move Research Award to help advance my research. So I want to take this opportunity to thank you and to express my gratitude for your continued support in advancing our research. My research mostly focuses around cellular therapies. These are types of therapies where we take a patient's immune cells, engineer them to attack the cancer, and then try to use them to fight off the cancer itself. It mostly focuses on leukemia and lymphoma. There are 2 already approved cellular therapies, and there are many more coming up in clinical trials. However, they do come at a and trying to predict which patients are at risk for side effects. The money that I received from this award will go directly to a clinical trial anti-inflammatory, and one is a cholesterol medication to try to decrease the amount of a specific side effect from one of the cellular therapies. I'm happy to answer any more questions, and I do hope for your continued support. Thank you very much.
Next, we have Dr. John Schempf. He is a fellow in endocrinology and diabetes. He is studying the impact of dysglycemia or abnormal blood sugar on transplant outcomes in patients undergoing autologous and allogeneic hematopoietic cell transplantation.
Hello, my name is John Schempf. I'm a second-year fellow in the Endocrinology, Diabetes, and Metabolism Fellowship Program at the University of Minnesota. The Marrow on the Move grant is helping fund our research on how alterations in blood glucose or blood sugar levels can affect the outcomes of patients undergoing hematopoietic stem cell transplantation. Our initial question will focus on the impact of hyperglycemia or high blood sugar. For a variety of reasons, hyperglycemia is a common problem and non-transplant related outcomes. With the help of the Bone and Marrow Transplant Division led by Dr. Brunstein, we are currently studying this association in patients undergoing stem cell transplant at the University of Minnesota. The results of this study will help us develop intervention strategies to reduce the rates of hyperglycemia, which could improve patient outcomes. Our research team includes 2 faculty in the Diabetes and Endocrinology Division, Dr. Tasma Harantanavudi and Dr. Louisa Karamori, the Inpatient Diabetes Service led by Dr. Karamori, and multiple individuals from the Bone and Marrow Transplant Program led by Dr. Brunstein. As part of this collaborative effort, we also developed a quality improvement project aimed at early treatment of steroid-induced hyperglycemia during hospitalization for stem cell transplant. Steroid use is a common cause of high blood sugars, and by promptly improving or even normalizing blood sugar levels, we hope to improve patient outcomes. We would not be able to conduct this research without the support from the Marrow on the Move Award. By better understanding the impact of blood sugar levels on stem cell transplant outcomes, we hope to disseminate this knowledge to improve patient care and outcomes, not only in our bone and marrow transplant program at the University of Minnesota, but at other centers too. I want to thank again the Marrow on the Move for their support. Thank you.
All right, and last but not least, Dr. Najla El-Jurdi, who's an assistant professor of medicine at the University of Minnesota, and she's interested in skin graft versus host disease and how antimicrobial peptides that already we have on our skin can help us protect us from graft versus host disease and improve outcomes as well.
Hello, Marrow on the Move community. My name is Dr. Najla El-Jordi. I am the recipient of the 2018 award. I use these funds to study how the microorganisms, different bacteria that live on the skin and in the skin can increase risk of graft versus host disease, which is, as you know, a complication after an allogeneic transplantation. I'm really excited to share these results with you hopefully very soon, and I really appreciate everything that you did to help me start my project and my career. Thank you again, and I'm really looking forward to seeing you at this year's event. Thank you.
Yeah.
So if we could only, if we could only see each other, we could give all of our awardees the biggest round of applause. They are working so hard with their really novel, exciting ideas to help improve the lives of our patients. So round of applause.
As a tradition in our event, every year we invite a patient to represent all patients and share his or her experience with the BMT or cellular therapy. This year's patient representative is Mr. Matt Bishop. Matt?
Hey guys, my name is Matt Bishop and I'm a patient at the University of Minnesota and a former bone marrow transplant recipient. I just wanted to talk a little bit about my experience at the U of M. It was such a great time going through my cancer treatment and my bone marrow transplant, in the sense of I wasn't too sure what to expect going into it, but throughout the entire process I felt genuinely cared for and loved, and I felt like everything was part of a family. I think that's tough to maybe find with some places you go or some patients where you feel like just another patient, but that was never the case throughout my experience and my current experience with the U of M and the bone marrow transplant team. The experience at the U of M was great, and the whole transplant experience was great. Everything was so smooth. The doctors were super knowledgeable, and they always asked me my input on things, and definitely showed how much they cared for me. The experience since I've been out of the hospital and off transplant has been phenomenal. Every time I have a question or anything like that, I can call someone or send an email and I get a very quick answer and a very clear and concise answer. All my follow-up appointments have been great, and even whether they've been in clinic or telehealth, they've been very, very efficient and easy to work with. That's a little bit about my experience with the U of M and the bone marrow transplant unit and the people on 5C as well. Got to give a shout out to my 5C family because they are truly the best. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Matt. Now we're going to segue to our fundraising teams. We did have a number of teams work this year to raise funds for Marrow on the Move, and we'll be highlighting them next.
Well, let's first start with a big hand of applause to the Jaywalkers, the top fundraising team of the 2020 Marrow on the Move. Congratulations to Jay and his team and family, and thank you for our efforts and for our support. They raised, as of yesterday, I believe, $4,950.
Honestly, awesome job, guys. Thank you so much. Next up, we have the Marrow on the Move Farmers. This is our pharmacy team. Thank you so much to our pharmacists for raising over $2,000 for Marrow on the Move research. Amazing job, guys. Next, briefly, we have my team, Rep for Graft versus Host Disease. As you know, every year our team does something a little different than a 5K, usually some kind of strength-based challenge to see how far we can push ourselves. So this year, the challenge was 400 meters of walking lunges. Basically, all you had to do was go to a track or use a smart device to figure out how far a quarter of a mile is, and just do walking lunges for time. And the suggested donation was $1 for every minute it took to lunge around the track. We had a number of people participate around the cities, and we even had one of our friends, Dr. Anita Nemechek, who is a blood and marrow transplant physician in Portland, Oregon. She also participated in this as well. So good job, Rep for GVHD, for raising over $2,000 for research, and I'm really sorry for how your quads feel today. And then last but not least, Team Trinidad. Thank you so much, Kelsey and her family, for raising over $500 for Marrow on the Move research. Amazing job, everybody. Thank you so much.
So as you know, the funds we raise here go toward research and to make the lives of patients and caregivers in our program better in every way possible. Raising funds for a better tomorrow for everybody. And this year, we'll try to focus our efforts and use the funds we raise in eliminating disparities in regards to BMT and cellular therapy.
And believe it or not, Mighty Marrow has a TikTok. So I'm going to play Mighty Marrow's small video here.
Now we don't have to go out. Welcome to my house. Now.
Sorry about that. Yeah, that's for all of the kids with the TikTok accounts out there. Trying to stay cool and relevant for everybody. All right, getting close to the end here, just wanted to take a moment to sincerely thank the University of Minnesota Alumni Association. This group has developed a campaign of buy a mask, give a mask. These masks that you see us wearing in this photograph are in University of Minnesota colors, the maroon and gold. They're also personalizable and adjustable with adjustable ear loops, and they pinch around the nose, so they're incredibly comfortable and soft. What they have done with their campaign is anyone who buys a mask will automatically end up donating a mask to a patient with cancer or caregiver family member at the University of Minnesota. And so far through their campaign, they have sold over 16,000 masks, which means that many will be donated to our program. So if you are up on the second floor of the CSC in clinic, or if you're in the hospital, ask somebody for a mask. We have plenty of these masks around and more to come. We want to make sure that we keep everybody safe and healthy during this time. So huge thank you to the Alumni Association.
Well, this would have been the moment where we would always start the athletic events. We would have started with the trot, followed by the runners, and then the walk. This year, we encourage all of you to do this on your own, keeping safe social distancing, wearing a mask, and walking outside in a non-crowded place or at home in your treadmill. Since this year, we can't hang out after the walk and chat and find out how people are doing for a few minutes. We're gonna have an opportunity for people to ask questions to their favorite providers. And remember that when you ask a question using the bottom on the bottom, for Q&As, tell us who you want to direct it to. And if that person is not available or you don't name a person, Shernan and I will do our best to answer it. So let's give it a moment and see if any questions pop up for us. I think I would point out that, we're being kind of, in a little way, lucky today because it's so hot outside. And we're being protected by the weather and by the internet. So I don't know if Mighty Marrow can see a screen different than mine. It looks like our audience is very shy. And maybe
yeah, I don't see any questions.
Okay.
It looks like maybe Dr. Warlick had something to say. She can unmute herself if she'd like to share something.
Yes, please go ahead.
I think I actually just had technical difficulties, but this has been wonderful, and thank you guys so much for organizing this. It's been wonderful to watch and listen.
Thank you, Erica. All right. Okay. Well, guys, this has been great, and I hope you all enjoyed our program. Please, when you have a moment, send us your comments and suggestions for next year, just, like every year. Remember, there is no summer if there is no Marrow on the Move. So whether sun or rain, in person or virtual, next year on July 31st, 2021, join us for the 6th Marrow on the Move. Visit our website and also engage with us during the year through our website and email and our presence in social media. You all have a wonderful rest of the summer and enjoy the rest of your weekend. And thank you very much for your presence.
Thank you, Claudio. Thank you, Mighty Marrow. Thank you, everyone who showed up today. And we'll have this video available for watching on YouTube. And again, please do stay tuned to our social media channels. We may have additional events for education and fun and connectedness throughout the year. Thanks, everyone. Have a great day.
Take care.